Shadows of the Boneyard. The heavy steel gear of Vault 24 groaned, a sound that hadn't been heard in over 2 centuries. Theron stood before the threshold, his fingers trembling as they brushed the yellow and blue fabric of his pristine jumpsuit. Behind him lay the humming lights and recycled air of the only world he had ever known. Ahead was the great unknown, a world forged in fire and silenced by ash. He adjusted his Pip-Boy, the green glow of the screen casting a sickly light on his pale skin. As the seal broke, a wave of heat and the smell of ancient dust rushed in, stinging Theron's lungs. The sunlight was not the soft glow of the hydroponic gardens. It was a blinding, unforgiving glare that turned the horizon into a white haze. He stepped over the threshold, his boots crunching on scorched earth. The silence of the wasteland was louder than any machine in the vault, a heavy weight that pressed against his chest. Los Angeles, once a city of dreams, was now a skeletal graveyard known as the Boneyard. Theron wandered through the ribcage of a fallen skyscraper, the rusted steel beams twisting toward the sky like desperate claws. He was looking for the relay station mentioned in the old records, a desperate hope to save his dying vault. Every shadow seemed to move, and every gust of wind sounded like a whisper from the ghosts of the old world. A sudden click of a rifle hammer echoed behind a rusted car. Theron froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. A figure emerged from the debris, draped in patched leather and a tattered cloak. This was Caliper, a scavenger who had survived the Boneyard by learning its cruelest secrets. She leveled her weapon at him, her eyes sharp and suspicious, assessing the vault meat who had wandered into her territory. Caliper didn't pull the trigger. Instead, she lowered her rifle, realizing the boy from the hole in the ground had something she needed, the clean medical supplies visible in his pack. She moved with a feline grace, circling him, her movements a sharp contrast to his clumsy, heavy-footed steps. She agreed to lead him to the relay station, but her price was high, and her trust was non-existent. They trekked through the ruins of Hollywood, where the famous sign sat shattered on the hillside, missing letters like a broken smile. Theron stopped to look at a faded poster of a movie star, the face half melted by heat and time. He realized that for Caliper, these weren't ruins of a civilization. They were just obstacles in a hunt. To her, the past was a burden. To him, it was a tragedy. Caliper led him to the edge of a deep crater, pointing toward a fortified bunker in the center. "That's your relay station," she whispered, her voice like sandpaper. "But it's occupied by those who don't like visitors." She checked her ammunition, her face hardening into a mask of survival. She didn't have to help him further, but something about his naive determination reminded her of a story her grandfather once told, a story about a world where people helped each other for free. The raiders struck as they neared the bunker. Gunfire erupted, kicking up plumes of radioactive sand. Theron dived behind a concrete barrier, his ears ringing with the roar of combat. He had only practiced with a laser pistol in a simulation. The real thing was heavy, hot, and terrifying. He saw a shadow moving toward their flank and realized that if he didn't act, the girl who had guided him would be the first to fall. Caliper moved like a blur of leather and steel, firing with deadly precision. She was a whirlwind of the wasteland, a product of 2 centuries of chaos. She saw Theron take the shot that saved her, a beam of red light piercing the smoke. She gave him a short, curt nod, a sign of respect earned in the heat of battle. They weren't just a scavenger and a dweller anymore. They were a team. As the sun set, painting the polluted sky in shades of bruised purple and toxic orange, they stood atop the relay station. The signal was sent, and the vault would be saved. Theron looked at Caliper and realized he couldn't go back to the humming lights and recycled air. The Boneyard was cruel, but it was real. He reached out a hand, and for the first time, Caliper didn't reach for her gun. She reached for his hand, 2 survivors under a dying sun,